everybody. Hans Vodder here. Thanks for joining me for another devotional at New Life Church in Port Townsend, Washington. Once again, we'll be turning to the book An Enduring Embrace, Experiencing the Love at the Heart of Prayer by Juanita Ryan. And the theme for this week's devotional is Saying Yes to God as Prayer, in which Ms. Ryan uses the Exodus as a metaphor for our spiritual journey. The opening verse is from Deuteronomy 30, 19 through 20. Now choose life, so that you and your children may live, and that you may love the Lord your God, listen to his voice, and hold fast to him, for the Lord is your life. Saying no to false gods can perhaps be compared to the Israelites crossing the Red Sea, taking the first steps of leaving their life of slavery in Egypt. They were now moving toward new freedom, freedom to be all that God made them to be, and to worship and serve God. Saying maybe to the God of love and grace can perhaps be compared to the Israelites living in the desert, freed from slavery but uncertain and afraid in their relationship with God. God feeds them and leads them and cares for them. God teaches them more and more to trust that he is with them and loves them. Saying yes to God may be compared to entering the promised land. We have much to learn. We are still children spiritually, but our trust in God's love has grown. We are more often able to open ourselves to God's love and take it in. We are more often able to trust God's personal love and care. To say yes to the God of love and grace is to say yes to love. We meditate, as the psalmist did, on God's unfailing love. We sit in the presence of this love. We receive this love, and we let this love heal us and fill us. The prayer of yes to God is the prayer of taking in God's love and of opening our hearts to return that love. In saying yes to the God of love, we are also listening to God's voice of wisdom and guidance for us each day. The prayer of yes is the prayer of surrender. It is the prayer of the sheep who knows the shepherd's voice and follows the shepherd's will. In saying yes, we are holding fast to God, even while God holds fast to us. The prayer of yes to God is the prayer of acknowledgement that God is our most intimate other. The prayer of yes to God is the prayer of engaging in an intimate, loving, joyful relationship with the one who made us, the one who longs for closeness with us, and the one for whom our soul longs. We will continue to have times when we doubt God's love and personal care. There will be times when we hesitate to follow our shepherd's lead. There will be times when we resist the intimacy we desire. But once we have entered this promised land and tasted the milk and honey, we will find ourselves asking for the grace to say yes again and again. Then there's a prayer that Ms. Ryan has composed. Today, we say yes to you, God. We say yes to your love for us. May we receive your love. May we rest in your love. We say yes as well to your loving will for our lives. We say yes to all you would teach us and change in us. We say yes to you, our love, our life. There's a lot that could be said about this devotional and the different stages of the spiritual life and how they correspond to the Exodus. A lot of times we can find ourselves thinking about God as someone to whom we need to give an unconditional yes to each and every time. And there is a sense in which that's true. I mean, God is the sovereign Lord of the universe, and when he asks us to do something, we should do it. But the famous philosopher Immanuel Kant once suggested that out of the crooked timber of humanity, nothing straight was ever made. And we often find ourselves not saying yes to God as often as we should. But even making allowances for our own sin and rebellion, I think there's a sense in which we sometimes need to say no. Not no to the living God, but sometimes no to the idolatrous perceptions or false conceptions of God that we might have, distorted images of God that aren't really the true and loving God, but are based instead on past traumas, unhealed wounds in our soul, bad experiences with church people in our past, perhaps. All these different experiences from our past can shape our image of God. And if that's what we think God is like, perhaps more like Darth Vader than as anyone else, then we do need to say no to that God. In fact, we need to say no to that God before we can say yes to the God of love who leads us out of slavery and out of the bondage of slavery into the promised land. And that journey of trust can be difficult, but at least speaking from my own experience, as obstinate as I have been on occasion, the Lord has never failed me yet. So I would just encourage you to keep saying yes to God and saying no to the false gods that aren't God. And maybe we'll see you next time as we do another devotional inspired by Juanita Ryan's book, An Enduring Embrace. Thanks so much for your time.